On the night of April 14th, 1912, as the RMS Titanic moved through the North Atlantic, the ocean around it held a silent and powerful force: extreme cold. At first glance, the water appeared calm, almost peaceful, reflecting the starlit sky above. But beneath that calm surface was a temperature so low that it would play a decisive role in what followed. The cold of the Atlantic Ocean was not just a background detail of the Titanic's story, it was one of the most critical factors that shaped its outcome. The North Atlantic in that region is known for its icy conditions, especially during the time of year when Titanic made its voyage. Large ice formations drift through these waters, carried by currents from colder regions. The presence of ice is a clear sign of how low the temperature can be, even if the surface appears still and quiet. On that night, the water temperature was near freezing, creating an environment that posed a serious challenge for anyone exposed to it. When the iceberg struck the RMS Titanic, the immediate focus was on the ship itself, its structure, its systems, and its ability to remain afloat. But as the situation developed and lifeboats were launched, the role of the ocean became increasingly important. The water surrounding the ship was not just an obstacle. It was a condition that would influence survival in a direct and immediate way. Cold water affects the human body quickly. The sudden exposure to near-freezing temperatures can lead to a rapid loss of body heat. This process, often referred to as hypothermia, reduces the body's ability to function effectively. Movement becomes more difficult, coordination decreases, and the ability to respond to the situation is limited. In such conditions, time becomes extremely important. For those who remained on board, the cold was something they could feel in the air. The temperature dropped as the night progressed, and the presence of ice in the water made the environment even harsher. The cold was not just outside, it was part of the entire experience, affecting how people moved, how they thought, and how they reacted. As lifeboats were lowered, the contrast between the ship and the ocean became clear. On board, there was light, structure, and some level of stability. In the water, there was darkness, cold, and uncertainty. This contrast influenced how people viewed their options, often making the idea of leaving the ship more difficult to accept, especially in the early stages of evacuation. Once in the water, the conditions were extremely challenging. The cold temperature affected the body almost immediately, reducing the ability to stay active and maintain energy. This made it difficult to swim, to hold on to objects, or to move toward safety. The environment itself became a limiting factor, shaping what was physically possible. Looking back, the role of the Atlantic Ocean's cold temperature highlights how natural conditions can influence the outcome of events. It was not just the ship, the iceberg, or the decisions made on board it. It was also the environment that played a part. The ocean, often seen as a passive element, became an active factor in determining what happened. It also emphasizes the importance of preparation and understanding. Modern maritime safety takes into account not just the structure of ships, but also the conditions they travel through. The lessons learned from Titanic have influenced how risks are assessed and managed, including the impact of environmental factors like temperature. More than a century later, the story of the RMS Titanic continues to be studied from many perspectives. The cold water of the Atlantic remains one of the most important aspects of that story, reminding us that the environment is always part of the equation. In the end, the ocean that night was not just a setting, it was a force, a silent, unseen factor that shaped every moment. A condition that turned a difficult situation into an even greater challenge, and a reminder that sometimes the most powerful elements are the ones we cannot control. Cold, quiet, unforgiving. The Atlantic Ocean. On the night Titanic faced its final hours,